Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Scott Dodge. I'm the Northeast Tech Rep for American Eurocopter. I've been working with helicopters for almost 20 years now, both military and in the civilian sectors. I bet you've all seen helicopters fly, but do you really know how fast they go? Well, today I will teach you how a helicopter flies, how fast they go, and why they are limited by their top speed. You know, it's been said, the only reason a helicopter can fly is because it's the earth rejecting them because they're so ugly. My first objective here today is to help you understand just how it is a helicopter flies. According to an article I read, A History of Helicopter Flight, written by J. Gordon Leishman, a professor of aerospace engineering at the University of Maryland, he writes, in 1907, a French bicycle maker named Paul Cornu was the first person to successfully take a human and lift him vertically in the air. And this was the beginning of helicopter flight. A helicopter, like an airplane, has wings when positioned properly through the air. With a helicopter, these wings, sometimes up to 7, are called rotor blades. These rotor blades, like a ceiling fan, rotate above the helicopter to help create lift, which allows the helicopter to fly. Now how this works is by changing the pitch of the rotor blades when the air flows over them to help create lift. So I'll demonstrate this using a toy. There's 3 rotor blades here. There's pitch already put into the rotor blades. And if I rotate this, you'll see that the helicopter or the blades will fly. So now you know how a helicopter flies, or how it can hover. How does a helicopter actually fly forward, aft, side to side, or backwards, and more importantly, around itself? So in order for a pilot to pull into a hover, what he will do is take what's called the collective lever, which will change the pitch of the rotor blades, causing the helicopter to hover. Now how does he make it fly forward? Well, he'll take what's called the cyclic stick, move the cyclic forward, causing the rotor disc to move forward, to pull the helicopter through the air. To move backwards, he'll pull the cyclic back, the helicopter's rotor will go backwards, pulling the helicopter backwards. And same from the left and to the right. Now how does it rotate around itself? Well, what we do is we take a rotor, much like the main rotor, turn it on its side, and put it on the tail. And what we do here is change the pitch of the tail rotor blades to make the helicopter go to the left and go to the right. Now how the pilot controls that is with what we call the tail rotor pedals. If he pushes on the left tail rotor pedal, the helicopter will rotate to the left. If he pushes on the right tail rotor pedal, the helicopter will then rotate to the right. And this is how and why a helicopter is the most versatile aircraft in the air today. They can virtually land and take off anywhere. So the second thing I would like to cover today is how fast a typical helicopter can go. Helicopters can go as fast as the design and the power being put to the main rotor from the engine. So the engine driving the main rotor. This helicopter is an EC-120. It sits 5 people and is a relatively small helicopter. This helicopter does about 120 knots, which is about 130 miles an hour. This helicopter is an A-Star. It seats 6 people, has a larger rotor, a little bigger engine. It can do about 140 knots, maybe about 150 miles an hour. Then this aircraft, built with this design, is made for speed. It's bigger. It has 2 engines for redundancy and more power, and a bigger rotor system. This helicopter can do about 175 knots, which is about 190 miles an hour. So the second thing I would like to get to is, what are they used for? Well, you can see that the Coast Guard uses this for search and rescue. They use them for sightseeing tours, law enforcement, in electronic news gathering. But most importantly to me is the use for air medical transport. It's for getting the patient to higher care within that golden hour. So how fast did that helicopter fly that broke the record? I'll tell you. But first I want to tell you why a helicopter is restricted by its speed. So the reason that the helicopter is restricted by its speed is what's called retreating blade stall. So let me show you what retreating blade stall is. Essentially, as the helicopter's rotor spins, we have an advancing blade and a retreating blade. As the advancing blade comes over the nose and becomes the retreating blade, the forward airspeed actually cancels out the lifting air, or robs the lifting air on the retreating blade, causing it to stall and dive and causing the helicopter to not remain in flight. And let me show you this with a pictorial from dynamicrotorflight.com. In this picture, what they're showing is a typical hover. Now with no forward airspeed, you see that we have no retreating blade stall. All blades around the helicopter are creating lift, very stable. As we move into a forward airspeed in normal cruise, you'll see that the airflow from the front of the helicopter hitting the retreating blade starts to stall it out and cause negative lift, which is a rotor blade diving. But the helicopter can sustain flight because there's enough lift to keep them there. But as we move forward and go faster, the faster the air coming across the retreating blade robs that air that's keeping the helicopter flying and causes the stall and loss of the helicopter's flight. So helicopter makers have been challenged by this for decades. And the way that Eurocopter has overcome this with their X3 concept is the main rotor spins at typically about 380 to 400 RPM. We slow the rotor down to slow the amount of blade stall, retreating blade stall. So we slow it down to about 320 RPM. And then we add 2 wings, like an airplane, to help create lift. So with these 2 additions to the helicopter, Eurocopter has been able to achieve the max speed of 255 knots, which is about 300 miles an hour, which is simply amazing. Now, just to show you what this helicopter looks like in flight, I want to show you a quick video published by Bloomberg TV on YouTube.
You know, when you fly, you don't really notice the speed. My name is Hervé Général, so I'm a test pilot. I'm also a test pilot at Eurocopter. We have flown with the X-Cube previously 232 knots in our flight, 430 kilometers an hour. But that was using partial power, and so we wanted to see how fast we could go using all the power. Flying at 255 knots, which is like 100 knots faster than conventional helicopter. We broke the record. The sensation of I would say, opening the envelope and pushing the envelope. This is the job of the test pilot, pushing the envelope. But we know that with the X-Cube, we've pushed it quite far. It's really good.
So, helicopters serve many purposes, but the most important is that of saving lives. With helicopter manufacturers breaking through that barrier of speed, just think how many lives can be saved.